Hey everyone, welcome to Strange Stories, where we explore near-death experiences and supernatural stories from people who've had a glimpse of the other side. If you enjoy our content, please consider liking the video and subscribing to our channel. Without further ado, let's get to the story of the day. I'm using a highway that is covered in snow to get home from work. Despite my limited visibility due to the snowstorm, I've already passed 4 accident scenes. I cast my gaze out into space. A construction site with a closed section of the road includes a concrete barrier at the beginning of a curve. I therefore alter my course. While changing lanes, the driver in front of me abruptly loses control. His car skids and makes contact with my rear bumper. I want to move aside for him as a result of my startled reaction, but doing so makes my car completely lose traction. My car advances like an arrow. The wheels have no grip and we're doomed to collide with the concrete barrier in the curve. I scream, and then I lose vision. The memories of my life start to quickly fall to earth in flashing golden images as I quickly get out of the car. I reflect on my life as Heinz smiles at me, and all of a sudden, I realize that we are constructivists. How we perceive our lives is up to us. In order to find out how I might avoid hitting the concrete barrier, I made the decision to examine the memories as they were falling. The experiences in the form of golden images accompanied by flashing threads erupting from my body started to rise and spin around my spirit body as soon as I made my choice. When it reaches one of the memories, it is drawn into length and continues to grow until it touches it and is instantly absorbed by it. It's dark. I sit next to my friend Florian and observe from the passenger seat how the car sways back and forth on the slick road. He steps on the gas to take us past the power lines and out of the neighborhood whenever the car's tires regain traction. In the event of a collision, the wooden poles of the power line are at least as dangerous as if we'd driven into a concrete house because they're as large as trees. In this way, we veer from one side of the road to the other, and using every last bit of energy, escape the village. We've gained some speed in the process, which will be a fantastic stroke of luck for our survival, as we will need the speed to get out of our accident-related situation. Our car finally loses all traction and slithers across both lanes, inescapably heading for the ditch. I observe both of our fear-distorted faces with wide-open eyes. I then relive the accident's critical sound from the viewpoint of a passenger. Looking up at the night sky, I scream as the car finally leaves the road and crosses the ditch in an eerily silent manner. My spirit body then exits the vehicle once more. I just witnessed our car crossing a ditch and landing on all 4 wheels in an icy field of snow. Fortunately, the axles stay in place, and as my spirit body ascends into the sky and my memory fades away into a pitch-black void, I can just make out the car zooming through the field at car speed. Once more, I'm filled with the golden memories of my life. After that, the flow stops abruptly, and I pass out. I'm sitting next to my friend Wolfgang in the steam room's thick fog when I regain consciousness. He tells me about the collision in which his car was rammed sideways. He feels fortunate that it occurred in a city and not on a highway, and he believes that if he'd been traveling at a speed greater than 50 kilometers per hour, he would have passed away right away. His hip was only broken in the accident. I watch over us and study. I'm not as moved by the emotional content of the second memory. So compared to the first one, I have more control. As a result, I view the entire situation at once without alternating between my internal and external points of view. I can even appreciate the serenity and sense of mutual security in this memory. Wolfgang is a reliable pal. Overall, I think that his work on my texts has taught me more about science than the professors in my courses have. Nobody else I know works as meticulously in each subject as he does. He spent more than an hour in the steam room with me that day, going over every detail of the collision as well as what might have happened if something had been different. He also discussed the likelihood of survival for each speed angle and vehicle. I like his raspy, soft bass voice. I was totally lost in this memory for a while. However, Wolfgang then claims that a similar collision on the highway, whether it occurred head-on or from the side, would have been fatal. This statement shakes my confidence to the core. I suddenly realize that I'm not with my friend in the steam room at all, but rather on the highway where I'm in grave danger of dying. I recall that it is my responsibility to survive this recent accident. That causes my memory to fade. Images that sound golden and colorful flood my mind. This time, the stream appears to me as a network of tunnels that spans a number of dimensions and resembles space. This makes me feel cozy and secure because it brings back childhood dreams for me. Then these perceptions dissipate and I awaken to the following memory. I'm in the refugee shelter, leaping headfirst against the wall, sliding down the wall with a forward roll over my shoulder blades, and landing on my back. At the conclusion of my shift at the refugee shelter, I tutored Muhammad, a young Syrian man, privately in fall school and evolutionary movement. Prior to running away, Muhammad was enlisted in a sports school with a focus on floor gymnastics and was enthusiastic about learning parkour. He'd long asked me to demonstrate my use of movement and martial arts. As one lesson turned into 2 and then into 3, we dared the most outrageous tricks and flying rolls. When the flow has the right speed and angle, you can use the resistance of the floor and wall to catapult you further without hurting yourself. Then, just as the object becomes useful because it resists your movements, the resistance becomes a tool for your movement. Objects are palpable indicators of your own actions. If you throw a stone at the water with the right momentum, you can even make stones jump over a lake, said the man. In my own voice, I say. The saving thought occurs to me as I watch us fly through the air and you listen to what I have to say. If I yank the wheel around at the last moment, can I manage a flying roll over the concrete barrier? Just as I'm about to put this into action, I find myself behind the wheel of my car once more, having just finished this thought. I literally yank the steering wheel around just before impact, and the vehicle's rear end disengages. My car's right front tire initially strikes the concrete barrier like a grenade. The process causes me to pass out. The force of the collision rips a large chunk of the front tire's metal rim, in addition to breaking the axle connecting the 2 front tires. Thankfully, the accident report was published in the newspaper as the most spectacular winter accident, which allowed me to explain what happened while I was unconscious. The collision throws the car's rear into the air, and the momentum from the spin causes it to fly over the concrete barrier. I briefly regain consciousness at the highest point of this flight arc, just as my car starts to descend. My entire being screams, "I don't want to die. This cannot occur." I then lose consciousness again and hallucinate. Strangely, while I was collapsing, I felt a connection between my life and every other life on the planet. I perceive an abundance of commingling crystals that shine and flash in different hues. The world is covered in sparkles and flashes, as though all life on Earth is battling for its existence against the final darkening. The newspaper reported that my car actually slid across the concrete floor for a few more meters before hitting the top of the breakdown lane. The roof over the driver's seat was miraculously spared, even though the majority of the roof was damaged in the process. After about 20 minutes, I begin to regain consciousness, but everything is droning and glowing so brightly that all I can make out are glaring outlines. I scream now. My first vivid memory is of colliding headfirst with a concrete wall. My car was already lying on its roof, and any apparent forward motion was only a concussion-induced sensory illusion. My senses gradually become calmer. I imagine myself strapped into the seatbelt and hanging upside down in my car. The breakdown lane's concrete floor was what I initially mistook for a concrete wall. The railroad strip's cracked, heavily dented concrete floor caused the car's windshield to stop less than 10 centimeters in front of my face. To make sure I'm not having a vision, I tilt my head forward and press my nose first against the windshield. On my face, I can feel the concrete's icy coldness. When I can think again, my first thought is, if someone hits me in the back now, all that would be left of my head is mush. My second thought is, but what if I have internal injuries and move? Then I could die from a careless movement alone. However, after everything I've been through, I don't want to pass away. Someone again fails to maintain a safe distance and crashes into the back of my car. I made the decision to compare my integrity to the fundamental principles of evolutionary motion. Even a healthy atom has the ability to move laterally, transversely, and vertically, and that is what I'm attempting to achieve with the spine's minute movements. My physical state appears to be good. I take the risk of performing a handstand while supporting my legs on the car's roof in order to unbuckle my seatbelt with just one hand. The window is barely big enough for me to squeeze through to the left above me. Thankfully, the impact nearly completely removed the glass from the window frame. I push through, bleeding barely at all, legs first. As I pull my upper body through the broken window, someone is already reaching out to me. I hear a terrified voice saying, "Don't move. You might die." As I lay on the snow-covered ice floor, I grab the hand that was extended to me and pull myself out of the car. I stumble across the floor before standing. Then my body becomes calm. And as I do, I notice how the neon lights of the highway have illuminated the drifting snow. The stars are shining in the pitch-black night sky as I look up at it. To be alive is amazing.